No, I don't agree. I don't believe that anyone from any religion, culture, ethnic background is like genetically determined to be more tempted to do crime than anyone else. No, so I don't really agree
Yes.
with that. No, absolutely not. What I do believe is that it's often elements in the environment of someone, where you grew up, which friends do you have, what chances, or better, what lack of chances do you have? Do you get the same opportunities as anyone else? Elements like that, like poverty, chances you get, I think that are the elements that make people maybe get driven into criminal activities.
Yeah.
So not as a matter of free choice actually, but more like a combination of these elements.
Yep.
I think that in certain circles that assumption actually does exist, but I personally don't agree. I think that you have criminals and offenders in all different shapes and sizes, but I don't think that origin is a determining factor in this discussion.
No, I don't. Crimes are both committed by local people and immigrants. Sometimes immigrants are forced to commit crimes because of the situation they are in. Sometimes they steal because they are hungry or they are out of money.
No, I do not agree. I think there are also a lot of local people that commit crimes.
Obviously, yes, it's in the news often. I can't say that there is a focus on whether the person who did it is an immigrant or not, or has like an ethnic diverse background. Not really. I can't say the focus is on that. But obviously, there is often in the news, there are crime-related items. Sometimes when there is an attempt for an escape from a prison or so, then the names are mentioned, and then sometimes you can hear whether there is like a Belgian background or a foreign background.
Yes.
But I can't say the focus is on that. No.
Yes, from time to time you hear about crimes committed by immigrants, but at the moment I can't think about any specific facts.
Yes, I read a story about it on the internet a few weeks ago. It was published in the Washington Times at the end of January. They wrote that 1,000 of the 36,000 illegal immigrant criminals the US government released in 2013 have gone on to commit other crimes. The information provided by the Department of Homeland Security details all 1,000 convictions, including weapons convictions, drunken driving convictions, and also drug offenses. The more serious crimes include domestic abuse, carjacking, and aggravated assault.
Well, as a matter of fact, I wasn't there myself, but last weekend there was a burglary at my parents' house while they were home. So my mother did see the person who did it, but not very well. It was dark, obviously. It was in the middle of the night. She can't tell how the person looked. He was male. That was all she could say. And luckily, no one got injured. So there was a burglary, and the person who did it, he ran away. And luckily, no one got harmed. So. And I also witnessed one robbery once, a few years ago, on an international internship. It was in broad daylight. While some of the pupils of this school were doing their internship in Aruba, there was a robbery on a jewelry shop. Yes, but yeah, there were local people from the island. So.
Yeah.
Oh, luckily, I've never been a witness of a crime, and I have never been a victim of a crime either. So no.
Yes, a few years ago I was in a railway station in Brussels. A North African youngster came to me and he asked me if I could change some money. I came from work. At that time I was working in the private sector and I was not aware that it was a very strange question. So I took my wallet, I took a banknote, and 1 second later the banknote was gone. I tried to get my money back, but it was a ridiculous attempt. So afterwards I had a very strange feeling. I was in a railway station full of people, and at that time, in that situation, I was all alone. So I learned my lesson. I will keep my wallet closed in public areas.
I think a lot of people are prejudiced when an immigrant commits a crime. Some people think that every immigrant would be able to do this as well. There is more and more hate towards Muslims in general because of the actions of IS, and I think it's a pity.
Prejudice is certainly one of the reasons, and I also think that that when a certain crime happens, people start looking for a culprit or for a scapegoat, and perhaps some people think that immigrants are an easy victim for that. I think that media do play an important role in this subject because I think that newspaper articles or on television, on the news, etc. They sometimes extra highlight the origin of a certain criminal, and then people might start drawing the wrong conclusions that all criminals are perhaps immigrants or things like that.
That's a difficult question. I can only hope that the media reports crimes without distinction of race. So if there are crimes committed by local people, then should that be in the news? If there are crimes committed by immigrants, then should that be reported?
TV, radio, newspapers are very powerful media. If they spread messages with a certain point of view, a lot of people will easily share the same opinion. I try to stay as objective as possible by gathering information from multiple sources.
I think there is a huge role there for the media. I do think most serious media, or at least media who take themselves seriously, think about how they tackle topics like this because they know it's a sensitive issue. I think most media handle it pretty well, although of course there is a lot of sensation press as well. I think young people especially are influenced really easily by the media. Also nowadays there is more than radio and television, there's the internet, there's the social media. So I think there's a huge role in the way how we see things, not only crime but pretty much everything.
Yeah.